So it occurred to me I haven't done a video here in a little bit. So what I wanted to talk to you about on this video is the current situation with the pandemic, and there's a coming heat wave. So tomorrow it is forecast to be a heat wave warning from 8 a.m. to Monday night at 9 p.m. So it's going to be really hot. Now, during the week when I'm working, excuse me, I'm at work, I'm indoors, I'm in the air conditioning. It's not a problem. And to be clear, I am not homeless because of the pandemic. I am homeless because of greed in the housing market. So, for example, my landlord wanted more money, and even though they had passed a law saying that landlords couldn't just raise the rent, they of course found a loophole around that and raised the rent by 52%, which is huge, and it was drastic, and it was not something I could afford. I make more than $15 an hour. Um, Not significantly more. I make under 20, but more than 15. And even with that kind of income, I cannot afford an apartment here where I live, which is ridiculous. That anybody who works 40 hours a week cannot afford a place to live. So again, homeless not because of the pandemic, homeless because of greed in the housing market. So before the pandemic happened, and as homelessness was looming, I was making plans on how to be homeless and how to survive this time. And the plan is that this is temporary. That instead of paying rent and barely surviving, barely scraping by, is that I would take what would go to rent and I would pay off my credit card debt, and I would save up money to buy a home. So that's the plan. Now, granted, I can't afford a home here where I work, so I would need to buy a home in another state, somewhere where the cost of living is much less. But in those states where the cost of living is much less, so is the income. So I have to come up with a plan to either buy the house outright or to have multiple streams of income coming in besides just working. Um, so that's kind of the purpose of this channel. I don't think I have any subscribers right now, which is fine. All channels start somewhere, and at some point this channel will evolve. I will be, it'll be a channel about me moving into my home and decorating up my home and getting it nice. Uh, I'll be doing more stuff. So, anyways, moving on. The heat wave, the pandemic, how to stay cool. Um, so, so my plan pre-pandemic was to go to the movies. I was planning to save money. I was planning on getting a monthly pass for unlimited movies, and on the weekends and after work, if it was super hot, it was my plan to go to the movies. It was my plan to go hang out at Starbucks, charge my phone, um, do what I needed to do, have a coffee, chill out inside Starbucks where it's nice and air conditioned. My plan was to go to the library, hang out at the library, use the computer. I have a book to write, and so I was gonna write my book on the weekend. These sorts of things. All of that is gone. There's no movie theaters open. There's no libraries open, and the Starbucks, they've only just now opened it up, but the hours are limited. The Starbucks that were open are now closed. Um, so it's just a whole chain reaction of events. So now I've had to rethink how to keep cool during a heat wave while homeless, because when you're homeless, you don't have electricity. So you can't turn on the air conditioning, you can't turn on fans, that sort of thing. I have bought 2 battery-powered fans, and they have been very useful. One is a bulkier, heavy-duty fan that it just doesn't last very long. The weight of the batteries, the bulkiness of the fan, when you're nomadic micro living, you don't want to be packing a bunch of weight. So that fan is not the best thing to get if you're, especially if you're having to move from place to place. I have been fortunate in that I have found a place where I can stay. Like um, I don't have to constantly move every night. I don't have to find a new location. I don't have to pack up every morning. Although there was a short period of time where I was doing that. I was packing up every morning and hiking into work, and then after work I was finding a place to camp, and I was camping. So, but I also had a slightly different setup than what I have now. So, anyways, how to beat the heat. So, we're technically in phase 1 of reopening, and since that phase 1 of reopening has occurred, we have experienced an increase in COVID-19 related cases. So there is some talk that maybe they're going to shut everything back down again. I hope, I mean, I hate to say, like, I hope they wait until the heat is past, but the concern here is that, yes, COVID is very serious and we need to take it seriously, but at the same time, there are other ways to die, and the heat is one of them. So it is my hope that we can keep some places open, some places where people can go and cool off. Um, so tomorrow, the plan is to get up early, to pack up my dirty clothes and go down to the laundromat and do my laundry. And then I'm going to ride the bus um, and go to, there's a truck stop up north, and there I'm going to take a shower, wash my hair, uh, do what, whatever toiletries need to be done. And then they have a lounge where I'm going to just sit and get something to eat and something to drink and just kind of drag that out as long as I can for the hottest part of the day, and then ride the bus back. Now, the bus trip is about 2 hours long, so it's a long bus ride. Um, I'll be looking at probably 4 to 5 hours of travel time. It's enough time to eat up the day, especially the hot part of the day, and then I don't have to worry about hiking around in the heat with the high sun out. Once the sun goes down lower and the thermal wind and everything starts blowing in, things should be a little bit more reasonable. Just it's that mid part of the day that I'm definitely trying to avoid. So that's my plan for beating the heat. Um, I briefly described what was my plans for beating the heat pre-pandemic, and they were good ideas. It would have been a lot of fun. I would have gotten a lot of stuff done, but it is what it is. So one of the things that I am doing right now is I'm applying for part-time jobs after work on weekends, hoping that something comes through. And I have found some jobs, but there are certain issues with scheduling and my ability to get there and back at times from my main job, which I need to keep that, more the focus of rather than the part-time jobs. But yeah, so that's where we're at. But if you see, I think the best thing that you can do for homeless people, and not just homeless people like me, but for the homeless people who are constantly being um, banned, what's the word I'm looking for? The homeless people who are constantly being portrayed in the media, the ones that because of the heavy media exposure on them, it has created kind of a contempt in our social culture for the homeless people like them. And so if watching this video makes you feel like you want to do something about this, which I hope it does, write to your local leaders. Tell them there has to be shelters, air-conditioned shelters. You can do this with social distancing. If people would just think and apply themselves to thought on how to do this stuff, there are ways that it can be done. People can be safe even during a pandemic, but even without the pandemic, the options for non-working homeless with mental illness to stay cool are very limited, and we need to rethink how we treat people in our society. So I hope that you will write to your leaders and ask them to think about the homeless people and they can stay cool and comfortable during a pandemic. Okay? All right, thank you for watching. Bye.